We're going to start putting stories into our projects. An important part of this is learning how to format the text. So we're going to learn how to make paragraph styles that you can use over and over. Now that we have the story placed, I'm going to put an image on the page. This is going to be a little bit of review. Remember that globe that we used earlier to learn about graphic frames? I'm going to go to File and Place, and we're going to find that globe in the Rocket Report folder, and we're going to put it on the page. So I'm already in the folder here, and here's the globe. I'm going to unclick Replace Selected Items and press Open. Now I'm going to position the placer tool right in the upper left-hand corner and click. Remember how big that globe is? We're going to use the percentage sizing to scale that globe down, and we're going to use the reference point. So if you look up here, I've selected the upper left-hand corner as the reference point. And I'm now going to go to Object, Transform, Scale, and I'm going to scale it to 25%. The globe needs to be moved up just a bit. When you move things on your page in InDesign, if you click and hold for a second, then when you drag, you're going to actually see how the image will show and what it'll actually look like. So I just want to move it up a little bit, and there it is. Now I'm going to wrap the text around the globe. Again, this is review. So we're going to go over here to the right-hand column, text wrap, and we're going to use the center icon, and we're going to tell it to detect the edges. We're going to put a little bit of an offset, by clicking the arrow 2 times. And we're going to always make sure that it wraps to the largest area. That way none of the text sneaks over here. Okay, now we're ready to format text. Do you notice that you can't tell where one paragraph stops and the next one starts? There's no paragraph indentation and there's no space after the paragraphs. The font that was formatted in this story might not be the font that I want to use in my newsletter. I really want to warn you against using Times, which is a default in word processing systems such as Word. Really, Times isn't the best font for a good, readable, educational document. Again, though, it really depends on your reader. But Times is very condensed, and the letters are close together, and it's just a bit hard to read. So I'm going to use a nice, friendlier font. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of my font by double-clicking in that text box and pressing Command A, which is the shortcut to select everything. And I'm going to pick a font. So I'm going to go up here to my font list, and you've got all these fonts to pick from, and I'm going to just go and pick one. So I'm going to use Minion Pro. You could really use any font. It really depends on your reader. So now if you notice under the font size, it's at 12 point. We're going to leave it there. Talk now about leading. So we talked a little bit about leading, which is the distance from one baseline to the next. So either the one or above or below it. InDesign does a default leading of 120 times your font. You don't always need that much, so you can customize that just a bit. So here's the leading option. So if I click the down arrow one time, it takes it to the next whole increment, which is 14, and that's going to work perfectly for us. So now we still can't tell where one paragraph stops and the next one starts. So in our control panel here, we need to go to the paragraph formatting controls. So we want to go here. You'll see the controls changed. You'll see at the top center of that bar, there's an icon that has horizontal bars with a fat bar at the bottom. So here it is, right here. This icon represents the space after paragraphs. Now we never want to open our paragraphs with 2 returns or 2 enters. The reason is that if we change our mind later and we decide to use a different font, we don't want to have to readjust all of that stuff. So this control is going to really help us with that. It gives us full freedom to put the amount of space after the paragraph that we want. It doesn't give us extra characters to delete later if we change our mind. I'm going to click the up arrow just one time. And you can see that gives us 0.0625. That's about half of the line space to open the paragraph, which is totally fine. Now we've done a lot of things to this text. We've chosen a font, we've changed leading, and we've put a space after each paragraph. So for all the remaining stories, if I want to keep the formatting similar throughout, I would have to remember all of those settings. But instead, I can save all of those formatting attributes as paragraph styles. So let's go look at the paragraph styles panel, which is right here. Paragraph styles are an easy way for you to do formatting that happens over and over and over and over again. So we have the text selected that's formatted the way we want. So we just come to the options menu and choose new paragraph style. Because the text was selected that has the formatting we want, you'll see that as the description in the box. I'm going to change the style name right here to news body because it's for the body copy of my newsletter. We also want to make sure that this check box is checked because we want it to stay applied to this section that we're on. And now we'll press OK. And you'll see that new style is in our styles panel right here. I've created a couple other styles for us in advance to save time. One of them is a style we're going to apply to every headline. I've called it headline 20. It happens to be 20-point Arial with a little space after the paragraph. It's also bold. And another paragraph style was created in advance that was based on the little line, folio line, which is right here. It's covered up by this font, but it's right here. So we're going to just move that out of the way for right now. It's based on this line of the newsletter. Okay, let's look at the story itself now. There's a part of the story that says goals for the positive behavior interventions, etc. will include, and then there are some line items. So I'm going to just take my zoom tool. I'm going to zoom in on this so you can see them. So you can see here it is, goals, and then there's the list. We are going to make these a bullet point list. So if we click in the text box, and we go under the paragraph tool, which we're at, you can see here that there are a numbered list or a bullet point list. So I'm going to just highlight those things that I want, and I'm going to press the bullet point list. Now we can edit the way that the bullets are formatted by using a ruler that we can also use to adjust our tabs. So we're going to go up to the type and tabs, and it's going to open a ruler here, and we're going to just line that ruler up and make it bigger. So I'm going to line it up here so that it's lined up with my font. The marker on the left end are where the first line starts, and the one below that is where the second line wraps to. So if I drag the lower one, both markers will move. So you can see that both markers move there. If I don't want both to move, I need to hold down Shift, and that disconnects them. So you can see now only one of them is moving. If I want to pull this margin in where the bullets start, I can just pull that top one. So that's where they are now. So I can just grab this and I can move those in. So I'm going to move this bottom one over just a tad, but we'll work more with this tool later. But you can see here, it's really easy to adjust where you want it. So I can zoom out and I can line things up again with that tab tool. And then I can just move those wherever I want. So now it looks a little bit better because I can see that those are bullet pointed lists. The most important thing to remember when you're designing pages is to make sure there's consistency with your type and all of that stuff. So using these tools that we've learned about in this video will help with that.